Part 130. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1291. Chapter 1291 You Love Me. It was Gu Jingxiu, wearing a dignified and elegant dress, with a look of shock. She couldn't believe what she just heard. Xia Yingluo actually said that Wei Lingnan was an alien, and Wei Lingnan did not deny it. Are they joking or is it true, fantasy? Reason told Gu Jingxiu that this must be a joke, but a small voice in the bottom of his heart said, what if it is true? Xia Yingluo mentioned dreams. What did Wei Lingnan want her to recall through dreams? Recently, Gu Jingxiu also had some strange dreams about a dark purple mysterious planet. The dream was not very clear, and she could not recall many of the contents, but she always had a feeling of being there, as if she had become one of those aliens in the dream, experiencing their joys and sorrows. Is this what Wei Lingnan wants Xia Yingluo to remember? Gu Jingxiu felt that she might have lost her mind. How could she associate the two things? But the conversation between Xia Yingluo and Wei Lingnan just now was so shocking, and those mysterious dreams had been bothering her recently, so she couldn't help but guess whether there might be any connection between them. After thinking about it for a while, I shook my head again. I felt that my thoughts were too ridiculous, and those dreams were probably just coincidences. Where are there any aliens in this world? However, there are probably more secrets hidden in Wei Lingnan than she had imagined before, about the origins of the Wei family, about the origins of their huge funds and biotechnology, and the reason why Wei Lingnan keeps a low profile and keeps silent about all this. Each mystery is waiting for her to solve. What is certain is that Xia Yingluo knows Wei Lingnan much better than she does, so Wei Lingnan is not so defensive about her. Gu Jingxiu couldn't help but wonder, if she knew Wei Lingnan better, would she have a chance to get him back from Xia Yingluo? Thoughts are growing in my mind like weeds. She dialed the number of a private detective she had cooperated with for a long time. Please investigate carefully the relationship between Xia Yingluo and Wei Lingnan, every word they said from the first meeting, every place they visited, time, meeting everyone who has passed must be investigated thoroughly by me. Hang up the phone. A flash of thought flashed in his eyes. She heard Wei Lingnan and Xia Yingluo mention a name, Aluo. Who could this Aluo be? It sounds like Wei Lingnan has a soft spot for this Aluo. If he can find out her identity, he might be able to take advantage of her. She added another call, this time instructing the private detective to investigate a girl named Aluo. Xia Yingluo listened to a piano concert absent-mindedly. She originally followed Wei Lingnan happily, but she didn't expect that such a thing would happen, and she was so confused. The concert was over and Wei Lingnan sent her home. She said goodbye to him calmly and returned to the dormitory of the training camp. Jin Linger was waiting for her in the dormitory. When she saw her coming back, she rushed towards her excitedly and asked, Yingluo, how are you? Did your date with Wei Lingnan go well? Was the concert good? Xia Yingluo said listlessly, it's not bad. Jin Linger looked at her strangely, you don't seem very happy. What's wrong with your clothes? Only then did she realize that Xia Yingluo was wearing Wei Lingnan's clothes. She took off her coat, and there were modified clothes underneath. Dress. Xia Yingluo was not in the mood to talk about what happened tonight, so she only said, maybe we are not suitable for each other. Jin Linger finally heard something was wrong. Yingluo, what happened? Did he bully you? Xia Yingluo smiled bitterly. Speaking of bullying, Wei Lingnan often bullied her. She didn't know what medicine she took wrongly, but this time she agreed to be his girlfriend in exchange for such an end. It's okay, go to sleep. She went to bed gloomily. Jin Linger saw that she really couldn't ask anything, so she had no choice but to turn off the light and sleep with full of curiosity and worries. The next day, the troupe in the training camp rehearsed as usual. How many scenes did Xia Yingluo have with the male protagonist who played the role of an alien? The situation was not good and the scene was rescheduled several times. She apologized, "I'm sorry, I'm not in a good mood today." The male protagonist who played the alien smiled tolerantly and joked, "It doesn't matter, falling in love with an alien is not easy." Her heart skipped a beat, thinking something had been seen through her, so she raised her eyes to look at the male protagonist. The male protagonist didn't realize it at all and continued talking to himself, "I have always thought that if an alien were to be with Earthlings, the gap in living habits and culture would be very big. It will take a long time to get used to it. Just like me and you, Yingluo, it is normal for rehearsals to go smoothly. It would be strange if it went very smoothly from the beginning, haha." Xia Yingluo said, "Thank you for comforting me." But Wei Lingnan unexpectedly came to mind. Could the things that happened last night really be attributed to cultural differences? No, it's actually a matter of character. That man's character is so irritable. She was irritable when she heard someone shouting outside, "Yingluo, someone is looking for her." She raised her head and saw Wei Lingnan unexpectedly. The man was still wearing his usual white shirt, and his tall figure stood in the shadow of the theater, looking somewhat mysterious. He looked at Xia Yingluo quietly, with no emotion reflected in his smooth watery eyes, holding a bouquet of flowers in his hand. Xia Yingluo also looked at him. Someone next to me smiled and said, "Wei Lingnan, are you here to visit Yingluo?" Wei Lingnan said to Xia Yingluo, "This flower is for you. The little white flowers are very beautiful with dewdrops trembling on them." "It's the tweed from Sean Kong flower shop again," said a knowledgeable person on the side. "Yingluo, you are so happy." Xia Yingluo wanted to refuse, but didn't want to quarrel in front of her classmates, so she said to Wei Lingnan, "Let's go out." Reaching a secluded place, she raised her head and looked into Wei Lingnan's eyes. "I told you yesterday that I wanted to break up with you. Please stop saying I'm a waste." Wei Lingnan also looked at her, "Are you still angry with me? I came here specifically to apologize today." Xia Yingluo shook her head, "I'm not angry with you, I just think we are not suitable for each other." "Give me some time," Wei Lingnan said, "although I have been on Earth for many years, I have never been with any girl in these years. I don't know how to fall in love with a human girl. Humans are too sensitive and delicate." Just now he heard the conversation between Xia Yingluo and the male protagonist outside the theater. This was a good excuse. Sure enough, although Xia Yingluo shook her head, the expression on her face showed slight hesitation. Wei Lingnan looked at her tenderly, "You love me." End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1292. Chapter 1292 Bracelet. Xia Yingluo turned her head and said in a low voice, "So what? Just because she loves him doesn't mean he can do whatever he wants." Besides, she didn't know how long this love would last, or would it end quickly like it did with Zhao Yuxuan before. She doesn't even quite understand what love is. Wei Lingnan leaned over and hugged her, "Yingluo." Xia Yingluo struggled a bit, "Don't do this, it will only make me hate you more and more." Wei Lingnan did not let go of her, and called her again, "Yingluo." His embrace was warm and solid, with a familiar scent to her, a bit like the aroma of some kind of grass, slightly bitter. She stopped moving and said, "I need some time to be quiet." She didn't know if they were suitable for each other. Maybe it was a mistake from the beginning. Real love should be like her parents, tender and affectionate, without harm. Wei Lingnan knew not to push her too hard, so he just said, "I will always stay by your side." Judging from the current situation of the two of them, this is already the best way. A few days later, someone came to see Xia Yingluo again, this time it was Xia Moyan. Xia Yingluo saw him in the small reception room of the training camp. He was wearing a long white windbreaker as usual, and his brows were light and picturesque. Xia Yingluo was very happy and asked, "Uncle, why are you here?" Xiaomoyan said, I came to see you and brought you something by the way. He said, taking out the thing, which was a simple bracelet with a luster similar to platinum under the clear and transparent sunlight. Xia Yingluo took it and put it on her hand. The thin circle is neither too big nor too small, the size is just right, and the style and color match her very well, making it suitable for daily wear. Is this specially made for me? She was very smart. Xiaomoyan said, yes. Xia Yingluo turned the bracelet over and over, knowing that her uncle would not give her this thing for no reason, so she asked again, is there a mystery? Xiaomoyan looked at his niece with approval. Compared to the stupid sister, this niece seemed to be much smarter. It is not an ordinary bracelet, Xiaomoyan said, you have been in danger several times this year, and now you have a dangerous person like Wei Lingnan around you, so you need something to defend yourself. There is a scripture engraved on the inside of this bracelet, it has been blessed, and when you are in danger, you only need to press it lightly with your wrist 3 times, and the blessing will be activated to protect you from danger and turn danger into safety. So magical. When did uncle lie to you? Wei Lingnan has Wei Lingnan's black technology, and the Xia family, as the guardians of the earth, also has its own mysterious fate, spells, reincarnation, can be driven by certain means to protect the objects they want to protect. There are thousands of kinds of amulets in this world, ranging from good to bad, but the one produced by the Xia family must be the most effective and powerful. Xia Yingluo also understood how powerful her uncle was, so she smiled happily and said, thank you, uncle. Xiaomoyan warned her, this amulet is too effective. The more effective something is, the more you have to pay. Using this amulet once requires a lot of blessings. I suggest you do more good deeds and accumulate rewards. In addition, unless it is critical time, don't use it lightly. Xia Yingluo nodded and remembered everything. With this bracelet, she feels much more at ease. Although she knew she couldn't use it easily, she wouldn't panic to that extent if she encountered something like a casino or a piano concert again. Xiaomoyan looked at her, how are you and Wei Lingnan doing lately? Xia Yingluo's face darkened when she mentioned this topic, it's okay. It's okay, that's not good. Xiaomoyan was very perceptive. Uncle, Xia Yingluo couldn't help feeling aggrieved, why is it so difficult to fall in love? I originally thought love was a very simple thing, just like my father and mother, plain, loving and happy. Okay. Why did it change when it was my turn? Xiaomoyan said, you should be content. You have heard the stories about your mother before. She suffered more hardships than you, not less. There is no easy life in this world. God has given you such a perfect family background. Naturally, you will have troubles elsewhere. Xia Yingluo said softly, Wei Lingnan once said that I am his aluo, and my family background is his choice. It is not some kind of heaven. Xiaomoyan said, there is God's will in the world. Yingluo, no matter what he said to you is true or false, you should never forget that you were born on this planet. The natives of the earth are different from him. Your destiny is driven by the earth, and you are also protected and monitored by the earth. The earth is your only reliance in the fight against Wei Lingnan. Xia Yingluo looked solemn, I understand. She could roughly guess that this was something that her uncle and the others had been worried about, that she would be alienated by Wei Lingnan and that she would not be tolerated by the earth. I will protect myself well, she said. Xiaomoyan nodded, then turned and left. The bracelet on her hand didn't attract anyone's attention. The style was too low-key and versatile, and even Jin Ling didn't show any interest in it. Xia Yingluo wore the bracelet on her hand every day, went to class and rehearsed as usual, and soon came the day when the troupe at the training camp officially reported its performance. The annual Emperor Training Camp Report performance has always been the focus of the industry. Those who can appear on this stage are almost all newcomers with the most potential in the future, and Emperor will only sign contracts with some of them. At the same time, a small number of transfer and exchange quotas will be released to flow to other parts of the industry. Therefore, in addition to people within the Emperor who will come to watch this show, there will also be many people from other companies and training camps who will come to watch it. Xia Yingluo stood on the stage. She was completely different from her usually fun-loving and lazy person off the stage. She was full of aura and was undoubtedly the brightest star in the audience. Many people marveled, this girl who plays the heroine is really amazing. She has amazing acting talent and perfect stage control. As long as she stands there, she can capture everyone without saying a word. Sight. She is Xia Yingluo. She is indeed Ye Xingling's daughter. It's not like she inherited all her mother's talents. Although Ye Xingling is a super diva in the music industry, she may not have much achievements in acting. This girl is different. Her acting talent is really outstanding. I have seen a future movie queen rising, someone said. Under the eyes of admiration, Xia Yingluo performed with ease. Not only was she outstanding, but she was also very good at playing with others. She was not arrogant and complacent because of her good acting, but took great care of other actors on the same stage. When other actors are supposed to perform, they never take over the spotlight. Typhoon is also very good, someone else praised it. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1293. Chapter 1293 Jin Linger's Decision. The person in charge of another small training camp lamented, "It's rare for a rich girl to be neither arrogant nor arrogant, but it's a pity that she is in the Emperor." A person next to me also said, "Isn't it? But it's quite strange. Xia Yingluo is Li Lei's daughter. If she doesn't wait for a good Tianyi, why would she go to the Emperor's training camp? The entertainment company run by her own father is no better than the Emperor's." Huang Xiao, of course it would be better to go home. Everyone was a little confused. No one would have thought that the innocent Miss Xia Yingluo came to the Emperor just because of Zhao Yuxuan's words. Nowadays, things have changed, and the love that could have become a good story has ended. Only the original choice still affects today's life. On the stage, Xia Yingluo's performance was mesmerizing, and at the end of the curtain, there was thunderous applause. She led a group of trainees to gracefully salute to the audience, and received another burst of applause. The performance was very good. Under the leadership of Xia Yingluo, the trainees of this year have received high praise from the heads of various companies. After the show, everyone was taking off their makeup backstage. Zhang Bilian smiled and said to Xia Yingluo, "Yingluo, you performed really well today. Everyone in the audience was watching you. Thank you for taking care of me and cooperating with me in that scene of watching the meteor shower. If you don't give full play to your acting skills, I won't be able to keep up." Xia Yingluo also smiled. Even though she knew that Zhang Bilian said nothing but flattery, who doesn't like to hear good words? While taking off her makeup, she said, "I just saw Chu Chen in the crowd, and there are people from several big companies. They all look very satisfied. This time everyone should be able to find a good future for a troupe, not only their class, but also the seniors, such as the male protagonist who is about to make his debut. With his performance this time, companies should be clamoring for him. As for those who have not yet had their turn to debut, they have left a good impression on the heads of various companies, which is always a good thing for the future." Zhang Bilian said, "I really hope I can debut soon. She is already 17 years old and will be 18 next year. For female artists, time is very tight. As for the debut of trainees, there is no clear time limit in Emperor. Some people can debut after a year and a half in the training camp, while others can only go home sadly even after studying for 3 or 4 years. And the quality of their trainees this time is very high. Maybe if they work hard, some of them will debut early. Beside Zhang Bilian, Zuzu also said, "Me too, I don't have to practice basic skills so hard every day after my debut. I'm so tired now. The competition will definitely be more intense after debuting." Another boy laughed at her, "You love to be lazy so much, so you should stay in the training camp." The room was full of people talking and laughing. Suddenly, someone knocked on their door. In fact, the door was not closed. The visitor just stood by the door out of courtesy and did not come in immediately. Everyone turned around and saw a man, wearing a crisp suit, tall and straight, with an unsmiling smile. Xia Yingluo and Jin Linger both knew the man. Jin Linger was the first to exclaim, "Mr. Du." The person who came was Du Zheng, the well-known president of the Du Group. He first nodded to Xia Yingluo, then looked at Jin Linger. "Do you have time now? I have something to ask you." Jin Linger was stunned and glanced at Xia Yingluo subconsciously. Xia Yingluo said, "Go." Jin Linger then stood up and followed Du Zheng out. As soon as they left, the dressing room was like an explosion. Many people asked Xia Yingluo, "Yingluo, who is that?" So handsome. Xia Yingluo told them Du Zheng's identity and said, "Actually, Du Zheng, the entertainment company, is also a good choice. His family and mine are family friends. Brother Du Zheng is a reliable character and will not abuse his artists." "Haha, Yingluo, why did you leave such a big Tianyi at home and come to Emperor? You dare to poach someone?" Someone joked, "Our principal is really big-hearted, I actually let you enter the school." Xia Yingluo also laughed, Go, I am sincerely studying in the Emperor's training camp." Zhang Bilian's eyes flashed and she looked at her. "Yingluo, do you think Mr. Du is looking for Jin Linger to have something to do? Could it be that he wants her to sign a contract and make an exclusive debut?" Upon hearing this possibility, all the people, everyone fell silent and looked at Xia Yingluo eagerly. Xia Yingluo's incident came to mind only after they were reminded of it. "No way," she said subconsciously. To be fair, Jin Linger's performance in the training camp was only above average, far from outstanding. Even if she were to debut early, it probably wouldn't be her turn. "Maybe there is something else," Xia Yingluo said uncertainly. After all, Du Zheng and Jin Linger had known each other for a long time. But the other trainees didn't agree, and they all speculated that Jin Linger had gotten lucky and was about to make her debut. A group of people dispersed with their own thoughts. Xia Yingluo returned to the dormitory, but Jin Linger hadn't come back yet. She went to take a shower first, and when she came out to comb her long hair, she saw Jin Linger pushing open the door and entering. "Why is Du Zheng looking for you?" Xia Yingluo asked her. "Looking at your rosy face, maybe they really want you to make your debut." Guessed it right. Jin Linger was overjoyed and almost wanted to spin around in circles with Xia Yingluo in her arms. "Yingluo, congratulate me. Mr. Du said he wanted me to sign with their company, and he went to help me handle the transfer procedures. I'll do it right away. You can make your debut." Xia Yingluo was not as happy as she thought. Instead, she was a little surprised. Why would he choose you? Jin Linger didn't mind her asking this, because after all, she was not particularly outstanding among the trainees in this class. "I also asked Mr. Du," Jin Linger said. "Coincidentally, Mr. Du said that their company was filming a movie and there was a lack of a suitable role in it. He thought I was quite suitable, so he planned to sign me in advance." "Is this so?" This explanation sounds reasonable, but for some reason, Xia Yingluo always feels that something is not right. Putting aside this explanation, she looked at Jin Linger seriously. "Linger, do you really want to debut now? Your basic skills are not very solid yet. I suggest you stay in the training camp for one more year. When the time comes to debut, things will be better." Jin Linger sighed. "My basic skills are indeed not very good. I know it myself. However, it is rare for Mr. Du to throw an olive branch. If I miss this village, There will be no store like this. There is another hidden meaning that she did not say. Her friend is so outstanding and her family background is so good, what can she do to match her friend? Only if she debuts early, enters the entertainment industry, and strives to make a name for herself. When people mention her in the future, people will not say that she gained the position by fawning over Yingluo. She didn't want to be like Zhang Bilian and be treated as Yingluo's follower. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1294. Chapter 1294 Triple it, no need to pay it back. Xia Yingluo didn't understand, what's the big deal if you miss the Du family? With me here, where do you want to go? At worst, you can go to Tianyi. Jin Linger laughed and said, it's just you. Why do you think it's such a big deal when Tianyi, a good thing that happens to others, makes you laugh out of your dreams? Will your dad beat you up if he finds out? Xia Yingluo said proudly, anyway, if I want you to go, you can go. Jin Linger shook her head, Yingluo, thank you for your kindness. I am friends with you because I like you as a person, not because of your family background. I don't want to trouble you too much. I can handle this matter myself. When it came to this matter, Xia Yingluo also found that her further persuasion was ineffective, so she had to ask, have you really decided? It's decided, Jin Linger said. Mr. Du is a very nice person, so it would be good to follow him. Moreover, my performance in the training camp was average, so it shouldn't be too difficult for the emperor to transfer to Du's family. Xia Yingluo also blessed her, you will definitely become famous. Jin Linger looked at her with a smile, well, I will definitely try my best to become famous, be a friend worthy of you. He asked Xia Yingluo again, what about you, what are your plans next? Xia Yingluo thought for a while, you have to leave. There's no point in staying here. I'll go through the withdrawal procedures. She was first seduced by Zhao Yuxuan to join the emperor, and later stayed to protect Jin Linger. Now the two no reason exists, it's time to leave. Jin Linger was surprised, drop out of school? Yingluo, don't you want to debut as a star? I don't want to. Xia Yingluo stretched and said, I came out to practice in the first place. Now that the training is over, I can continue to go home and be the eldest lady who eats and waits for death. Ha ha ha, I fly with my second brother every day. Eagle lackey, pretty good. You're too lazy to kill me, Jin Linger scolded with a smile. Really or not, are you going to be like this for the rest of your life? The future is still long, let's talk about the future later. She envied her mother and found her favorite career, singing, since she was a child. Even though my mother is now happily married and has countless wealth, she still has not given up her love for singing and will release new songs every once in a while. And what about her? She doesn't know what she loves, and her life of eating, drinking, and playing around seems to be pretty good, just take it one step at a time. It's a pity, Jin Linger said, with your talent, you can become famous easily. I don't rely on this to become famous, Xia Yingluo said lightly. Jin Linger nodded, yes, the eldest lady of the Li family can make a global sensation no matter what she does. Xia Yingluo stretched again, and the next day, she really went home to her parents and told her that she wanted to drop out of school. The happiest person is of course Li Lei. He feels uncomfortable every day his daughter stays with the emperor. You finally figured it out, he said to his daughter with a smile. That's right, the emperor's people are all perverts, the farther away the better. Yes, yes, the emperor's people are all perverts. Xia Yingluo knew how to establish a feeling of common hatred and hatred with her father. Li Lei was really happy. I will give you more pocket money this month. Thank you, Dad. Xia Yingluo smiled with her eyebrows creasing. Li Lei happily ordered people to go through the procedures for his daughter to drop out of school. As for the emperor, the principal of the training camp was frightened that the daughter of the Li family was going to drop out of school. He had no control over the matter, so he quickly asked Peizian for instructions. Instructions came from Peizian's secretariat, telling him to do business first. Therefore, the principal carefully estimated the liquidated damages for withdrawal from school and quoted an astronomical figure. As for Tianyi, the person sent to deal with the matter of dropping out of school was also the principal of the training camp, and he was an old acquaintance with the emperor's principal. After receiving the amount of liquidated damages, my face turned green. I took a deep breath to calm down, but no, I couldn't calm down at all. In the end, I had to grit my teeth and said to the emperor principal, "Old Li, you are not kind, how can you be so exaggerated? Why don't you grab the liquidated damages?" The emperor's principal smiled but said, "Miss Ya has a noble status and unlimited potential. According to our professional evaluation, if she debuts in the emperor, she will become a super diva no less than your Madame Li in the future." A super diva, how much is it worth? Principal Tianyi was speechless. It is true that this liquidated damages is a cosmic figure, but it is nothing compared to a super diva like Xiaoling. Should he still thank Principal Emperor for asking too little? It can't be calculated that way. He cleared his throat and argued in vain, "Miss Ya is so lazy, afraid of hardship and tiredness, and has no intention of making progress at all. How can she become a super queen? She is just an ordinary trainee." The emperor's principal continued to smile, "You slander your lady like this, does your boss know?" Principal Tianyi. The emperor has too many talents, crouching tiger, hidden dragon. In this round, Principal Tianyi was completely defeated. Principal Tianyi came back to his big boss with a sad face, "Boss, they are asking for a lot of money. Is the emperor so short of money?" After hearing the other parties asking price, Li Lei also smiled a little ferociously. "That money can buy several small companies, okay." Principal Tianyi wiped his sweat and thought, why not sell the young lady to the emperor? The little girl has done something wrong for herself, so she can sell herself to pay off the debt. Xia Yingluo happened to come in from the door, heard their conversation, and was filled with indignation. The emperor is really a vampire. "Dad has given you this money," Li Lei smiled even more ferociously, and turned to tell Principal Tianyi, "Treble the amount and give it to them. Peizian is short of money, right? Just think of me as supporting them, and there is no need to pay back." "Dad." Xia Yingluo was about to cry. With so much money, wouldn't it be good to give it to her as pocket money? As for being so angry with Uncle Pei, Li Lei raised his head proudly, "I just want to kill him with money." "Forget it, Dad, as long as you are happy." Xia Yingluo got the letter of withdrawal from school, and Jin Ling'er also got her wish and transferred to Dushi Company to make her debut. The two hosted a meal for the trainees of the same year and members of the troupe, and everyone reluctantly said goodbye. "When you get developed in the future, don't forget us," Zuzu and Zhang Bilian joked. "Of course not, Bilian, let me know when you will come out, don't worry, I won't treat you badly," Xia Yingluo said. The group of people were strangers to each other, and all the bad things that happened at the beginning disappeared under Zhang Bilian's initiative. During this period, Zhang Bilian was busy with her and helped her with a lot of trivial things. She should take care of her in the future. Zhang Bilian, Zuzu and others all had joy in their eyes, for these words, "Yingluo, I'd like to toast you." Happy guests and hosts. Soon, the media with a keen sense of smell also reported that the eldest daughter of the Li family, Xia Yingluo, had dropped out of the emperor's training camp. Many tabloids and public accounts came up with 108 different stories, including the grievances of wealthy families, love and hatred. It involved 2 generations, making the public enjoy the gossip again. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1295. Chapter 1295 Visit on a Moonlit Night. Xia Yingluo went home happily and lived the life of a young lady, eating and waiting to die. Although the training camp is not bad, how can it be as comfortable as your own home? At night in late autumn, sitting in your boudoir holding a quilt and looking at the moon is the most wonderful thing in life, okay. Her boudoir is on the second floor, with large floor-to-ceiling windows and a terrace. Xia Yingluo happily rolled around on the soft feather bed a few times. Suddenly, she saw movement on the terrace out of the corner of her eye. She suddenly became alert, propped herself up, and looked over there. Under the hazy moonlight, a man's tall figure stood quietly, looking at her quietly through the transparent floor-to-ceiling windows. South of Weiling. Xia Yingluo recognized this man immediately, and there was an indescribable and complicated feeling in her heart. If she was dissatisfied with her current life, I am afraid that the only dissatisfaction was that this man appeared in her life. She got out of bed barefoot and opened the glass door. "How did you get in?" she asked angrily. The security measures at the Li family villa were absolutely top-notch in the world. Under such circumstances, it was unbelievable to her that someone could sneak inside without anyone noticing. Wei Lingnan looked down at her. "I miss you." The night breeze was blowing his clean short hair, and a pair of long, narrow, and cold mirror-like eyes flashed with a faint light. Xia Yingluo's voice was a little cold. "Really? It's a pity that I don't miss you that much. Wei Lingnan, don't hinder my sleep, let's go." After saying that, he closed the door, closed the curtains, and returned to bed. The bedroom was dark, with a faint soothing aroma on the duvet. However, Xia Yingluo couldn't sleep no matter what. She tossed and turned, her mind and eyes full of Wei Lingnan's face. These days, she intentionally or unintentionally avoided seeing Wei Lingnan. She didn't expect that he would chase her home. Did she really miss her too much? What would he say to her if she hadn't just chased him away? Xia Yingluo was horrified to find that she had some expectations. She became even more irritable. She rolled around on the bed and looked at the clock. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. Several hours had passed. Xia Yingluo, who was still sleepy, realized that she was destined to have insomnia tonight. She climbed out of bed resignedly, cursed Wei Lingnan as she turned on the light, washed herself, and prepared to find something to do for herself to pass the long night. Look at the moon. She boredly opened the low-hanging curtains, pushed the door open and stepped onto the terrace, but was shocked by the scene in front of her. We saw Wei Lingnan still standing there without moving, with a thin layer of frost already forming on his body and hair. His eyebrows were calm, and he was looking up at the night sky, his eyes falling on an unknown place in the distance. Xia Yingluo suspected that it was her hallucination. She rubbed her eyes hard and realized that it was true. The person in front of her was indeed him. Why are you still leaving?" she asked stammering. "How many hours has it been?" Looking at the frost all over his body, she thought to herself, "Fortunately this is an alien, if he is an ordinary human he must have been frozen to death." Wei Lingnan turned to look at her and smiled. "You're out." "I'm not here to see you crazy." Xia Yingluo was about to go crazy, turned around and gave him a slap on the back of the head, slammed the door hard, and drew the curtains, all in one movement. The room fell into silence again, and the heater was turned on, melting the chill all over her body. She turned out a book with a cold face and read it, trying not to think about the person outside the window, but within a few minutes she put the book down heavily and cursed in a low voice, "Wei Lingnan, if you want to die, you can't die in my house. Stand up, take out a blanket from the closet, open the curtains, open the patio door and go out." As expected, Wei Lingnan still maintained his original posture. The faint moonlight fell on him, making him look a little mysterious and fragile. Xia Yingluo shook her head to get rid of the unrealistic thoughts in her mind. She was crazy to think that this pervert was fragile. Yang raised his hand and threw the blanket on him, and said coldly, "Put it on, I won't be responsible if you freeze to death. Wei Lingnan looked at the soft blanket and was stunned, then he put it on obediently. In fact, as a Scatena planet, he has been in environments many times worse than this one, and this little bit of coldness on Earth cannot hurt him at all. However, he was still very happy to get her care. Xia Yingluo saw him clumsily putting on the blanket and couldn't stand it anymore. She stepped forward to wrap it around him with a cold face, and then said, "Don't drop it." He looked at her with a pair of narrow, shimmering eyes. Xia Yingluo hesitated for a moment, but couldn't help but touch his hand. It was as cold as iron. "What happened?" she frowned. "Did you die?" Her warmth came from his fingertips, making him nostalgic and reluctant to leave. He simply stretched out his other cold hand and wrapped it around her warm little hand. "Cold." Xia Yingluo shivered from the cold, and glared at him fiercely, but did not take her hand away. "Come in, I'll make you a cup of hot tea." Wei Lingnan followed her into the bedroom obediently. Her room is beautifully decorated, with just the right warm and romantic style from design to materials. The plush bear pillow on the soft feather bed is particularly eye-catching. His eyes lingered on the little bear for a while. "Don't look around." Xia Yingluo was very unhappy. "If you look again, I'll throw you out." She made steaming tea for him. The tips of the fine mending buds exuded a quiet fragrance, which slowly melted in the air. Wei Lingnan took the tea and took a sip. The warmth spread to his limbs. Xia Yingluo then asked him, "Why did you stand outside my room for so long, looking for death?" Wei Lingnan said, "I don't think it was long when he was on Scatena. As a guardian, he often kept vigil for her. The nights at that time were much longer than now, and there were all kinds of things lurking in the darkness. All kinds of dangers, but as long as he can stay by her side, he is willing to do it. In comparison, these 3 or 4 hours are indeed not that long." He hadn't seen her for a few days, and he missed her very much. When he was looking at the night sky outside her room door, he remembered the past many years ago, and unknowingly he was standing here now. Xia Yingluo was so angry that she glared at him again. "Don't do this again." He said, "I just want to see you." Xia Yingluo felt like she was going crazy. Why was this person so troublesome? "Okay, now that you have seen me, you can go. I still want to talk to you." Xia Yingluo. Is it too late for her to call the police now? There was a knock on the door outside. The two people in the room were silent. Xia Yingluo asked, "Who?" A young man's somewhat lazy voice came from outside, Your brother." It turned out to be her second brother Li Rui. "It's so late, what's he doing here?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1296. Chapter 1296, Provoke whomever you provoke. Xia Yingluo looked at the door and then at Wei Lingnan in her bedroom, wondering whether to let her brother in. Wei Lingnan, on the other hand, put down the teacup gracefully and walked up to open the door before she was still confused, and faced Li Rui face to face. Li Rui was holding a little leopard in his arms, wearing burgundy silk pajamas, with a pair of charming fox eyes slightly raised, squinting at the uninvited guest in his sister's room. "Why are you here?" Li Rui went to the bar at night, and in the early morning I had just returned home at midnight. I had just taken a shower and changed into my pajamas. Before the smell of alcohol had dissipated from my body, my own little leopard, Fluffy, bit the corner of my clothes and came towards me. It turns out there is a dangerous person in my sister's room. Wei Lingnan remained calm. "It's my turn to ask you this." "It's a joke, this is my home, and Yingluo is my sister." Li Rui sneered coldly. "Who do you think you are?" He didn't know Wei Lingnan's identity. The fact that Wei Lingnan was an alien made Li Lei, his wife, and Xia Yingluo haven't even told him. However, he instinctively felt that Wei Lingnan was a character who was extremely difficult to mess with, but so what? He would risk his life on anyone who dared to touch his sister. Wei Lingnan smiled, I am Yingluo's boyfriend. Xia Yingluo moved her lips and wanted to refute, but the words still didn't come out. Li Rui's eyes swept back and forth between the two of them, and for a moment, he returned to Wei Lingnan, so what, are you her boyfriend with the consent of me and her parents? You sneaked into my house in the middle of the night. Have you agreed? She is my sister. Do you understand the principle of obeying father and brother at home? If I tell you to leave, you must leave. Looking arrogant and want to be beaten. Xia Yingluo was very touched that her brother defended her so much, but she was also worried that Wei Lingnan would be angry. This man was as troublesome as Xia Moyan, let alone Li Rui, even Li Lei couldn't deal with him. A deathly silence. Li Rui confronted Wei Lingnan aggressively. However, the little leopard in his arms, Fluffy, showed deep uneasiness from the first moment he saw Wei Lingnan when he entered the door. At this time, the hair all over his body exploded, and he was twisting uneasily in Li Rui's arms, a pair of his round eyes were fixed on Wei Lingnan, and a threatening sound came from his throat. Wei Lingnan glanced at the little leopard. The little leopard was so frightened that it jumped out of Li Rui's arms and shrank behind his feet. Li Rui frowned, you scared my pet. Wei Lingnan said calmly, no offense, beasts are always more sensitive than humans. Although Li Rui couldn't detect anything unusual about Wei Lingnan, Rong had discovered that this man was definitely not easy to mess with. The animal instinct told it that great danger was right in front of it, so it was so uneasy and dragged Li Rui over to check the situation. It was worried that something might happen to Xia Yingluo. Li Rui became even more arrogant, my pets don't even welcome you, why don't you get out of here? Brother Xia Yingluo couldn't help but say. She was really worried that Wei Lingnan would get angry. Li Rui didn't appreciate it and looked at his sister sideways, why, do you feel sorry for him? Xia Yingluo, let me tell you, it doesn't matter how I spend time outside. You are a girl. You are different. You are not allowed to meet with wild men at home. It's a rule. Wild man. Xia Yingluo is unhappy. How can her brother speak so harshly? He is my boyfriend, she argued in a low voice. What your parents don't recognize is a wild man. Li Rui was also unhappy. Are you stupid, because you turn your elbows outward? Xia Yingluo was so wronged. She kindly helped them break up the fight. How could she be stupid? Woohoo! Wei Lingnan, on the other hand, softened a lot after hearing her say the word boyfriend, but in the blink of an eye he looked at Li Rui coldly, you call Yingluo stupid, you are seeking death. Li Rui, I'm teaching my sister a lesson, do you want me to get into trouble? As we talked, we started to quarrel again. Xia Yingluo was about to cry. She was too soft and had to be hard. She stretched out her hand and pushed Li Rui out of the door, I'm fine. Brother, please don't worry about it. Go to bed quickly. If you don't leave, I will take care of you tomorrow, you have Yan. Hey, stinky girl, you. Before Li Rui finished speaking, he and his pets were already locked out of the door. The bedroom became quiet again. Wei Lingnan lowered his head and looked at her tenderly, I am still your boyfriend. He was very happy to receive her personal admission. Xia Yingluo pushed him toward the balcony with all her strength, saying, you should go too. Really, I will be annoyed to death by you. Wei Lingnan didn't resist much, he was pushed out by her like that, and the glass door closed against the tip of his nose. But he still looked at her very gently and said to her, I'm leaving, you go to bed early. Even though there was a glass door, his voice reached her ears clearly. Xia Yingluo was so angry that she closed the curtains, get out. This time, it's really quiet. She crawled back into bed, recalling everything that happened tonight, and wondered if she had been too cruel to Wei Lingnan. And Li Rui's attitude. She was really worried that Wei Lingnan would take revenge on Li Rui. Thinking about it, he took out his mobile phone and sent a message to Wei Lingnan, "Have you gone back? Thank you for coming to see me tonight. My brother has that temper, so don't argue with him." After a while, I received a reply from Wei Lingnan, "Are you caring about me, or are you trying to please me and want me to let your brother go?" Xia Yingluo was stunned for a moment, stared at the text message, and cursed in a low voice, "What a pervert, why is he so smart?" Grinding her teeth and grinning ferociously, she had to reply to him, "Of course I care about you." His news came in quickly, lying. Xia Yingluo was so angry that she wanted to throw her phone. She rolled over on the bed a few more times, broke the pot, and replied viciously, "I just don't like that you and my brother can't get along. How about it? I'm warning you, if you dare to touch my brother, I'm not done with you." This time, there was no news about Wei Lingnan for a long time. Xia Yingluo felt uneasy and regretful. Could she have been too cruel to him? Could it have angered Wei Lingnan, and Wei Lingnan went directly to his brother to kill someone to vent his anger? She almost jumped out of bed and went to Li Rui's room to make sure it was safe. Hurriedly edited a text message and sent it to Wei Lingnan, "I was wrong. Don't trouble my brother." It took a long time, and when she thought Wei Lingnan would not reply, the message came in, "I will not touch your family." This short line of words, with no emotion visible, made a big stone fall from her heart. Xia Yingluo breathed a long sigh of relief, and suddenly felt that Wei Lingnan was no longer so annoying, so she sent a flattering smile and said, "Yeah, good night." Here, no further reply was received. Xia Yingluo went to bed late and got up late the next day. When she got up, she was scolded by Li Rui and Li Lei in turn. Li Rui told Li Lei what happened last night and suggested that the security at home be strengthened. When Li Lei heard that his daughter had a secret meeting with a man in the bedroom, "What's the point?" He immediately gave instructions to Xia Yingluo, which made Xia Yingluo almost cry. Who did she provoke? End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1297. Chapter 1297. This chair is not for you to sit on. Li Lei rearranged the security at home with great fanfare. He also invited Xia Moyan to explore the feng shui, set up life and death doors, and laid out numerous maze traps, just to prevent the extremely dangerous person from Lingnan from invading his daughter's room again. Xia Ling also taught her daughter, "You must know how to protect yourself and don't let others take advantage of you." Xia Yingluo, who was 2 years old, locked herself in the bedroom and called Jin Ling to cry, I thought I would have a good life when I went home, but in the end, everyone couldn't get along with me. Okay. I hate it so much." Jin Linger was very sympathetic, "How about you come out to avoid the limelight? I've taken on a new drama and it's about to start shooting. You come to visit me and play with me." Okay. Xia Yingluo was happy, and of course she had to support her good friend's play. Within a few days, she packed up her things and headed to the set. The filming set was in a film and television city on the outskirts of the city. Jin Linger led her in and told her, "Just find a place to stay and watch me filming later." Xia Yingluo curiously looked at the staff going back and forth. This is a big production, there are so many people. The way she looked around earned her several blank looks. Where did she come from, an ignorant village girl? Jin Linger also laughed at her, "No way, Miss Xia, it's not the first time you've entered the set, so why are you so surprised?" Xia Yingluo smiled sweetly, "I'm happy for you, aren't I?" Of course she went to the studio a lot. There was a time when she was a child and she especially liked to go to the studio. She was included in several films that won international awards. The figure making soy sauce. However, she did not expect that Jin Linger would be able to receive a blockbuster film of this scale for the first time. For a newcomer who had just debuted, it was a very good start. Jin Linger said, "Don't think it's a blockbuster movie, I only play a small role, the female number N. N." Xia Yingluo couldn't help but laugh, "Are you wronged? If so, I will find a good role for you." Jin Linger shook her head, "Forget it, you don't do anything serious all day long. You are obviously a much better actor than me, but you are so unwilling to make progress, and you just want to help me find roles." He stretched out his finger and tapped her forehead, "You play with yourself first, I'll put on makeup." Xia Yingluo nodded and watched her walk away. This was the Du family's studio, and there weren't many people she knew. Xia Yingluo wandered around inside, feeling a little bored, so she casually found a chair and sat down. She hadn't done it for long when she heard someone scolding her, "Who are you? Why are you sitting on Sister Tang's chair? Go, go, go." She had never been scolded like this since she was a child, and she couldn't help but feel angry in her heart. He looked up and saw a fierce-looking man, followed by a charming beauty. The beauty was wearing a gorgeous costume and was being surrounded by people. She was looking at her with a look of arrogance and impatience. She recognized that beauty. Tang Yuan, the movie queen who has become so popular in the past 2 years, has become a box office miracle no matter what she shoots. No wonder he is so proud. This was the first time Xia Yingluo saw Tang Yuan in person, and she couldn't help but look at her a few more times. "I have heard gossip from my uncle Bai Murong before. When this woman just debuted and was still a little flower, she would do anything to get the upper hand. She would sleep with movie stars, directors, exclude other female stars, and pretend to be noble and pure in front of the public, a torturous black story. History makes it difficult for her to really succeed." The person who just scolded Xia Yingluo was Tang Yuan's assistant. Seeing that she was still staring at Tang Yuan, he scolded her again, "Idiot, what about you? Why don't you get out of here? Who are you? Which department do you belong to?" Xia Yingluo stopped looking at Tang Yuan this time and looked at her coldly. "Him, who do you think you are? Oh, you actually dare to fight with me?" The assistant was very angry. In the past few years, he had been following Tang Yuan, pretending to be powerful, and no matter where he went, he would not be supported by others. How dare a little-known girl dare to talk back to him? "You're tired of living, aren't you?" He saw that the little girl was only wearing a set of ordinary casual clothes. There was no follower around her, and she was not a well-known person. He couldn't help shouting, "Xiao Li! Xiao Li! Come and see this idiot, where did this thing come from? Call her person in charge." The staff member named Xiao Li was also startled when he saw Xia Yingluo sitting on Tang Yuan's chair, knowing that something serious was going on. Tang Yuan is famous for her difficult temper. She would get angry for a long time if the oncoming person didn't bow her head and give way when she was walking. What's more, someone was sitting in her special heroine seat this time. Xiao Li quickly said, "Brother Chiang, please calm down, I will teach this ignorant idiot a lesson." Turning his head, he looked at Xia Yingluo and said sternly, "Which department are you in? Why don't you give up your seat to Sister Tang? Apologize." Xia Yingluo was dumbfounded by their mouthfuls and became angry. She sneered and said, "I just sat down. What's wrong?" At this time, she remembered that it seemed that many production crews had such a rule. You could not sit on chairs casually. Most of them were reserved for prominent figures such as leading actors, which were a symbol of status. However, it's not surprising that she just remembered now. In the past, she could go to any set, but who would dare to use this rule to ask the eldest daughter of the Li family? They all wanted to ask her to sit down. At this time, Tang Yuan also turned cold. She didn't bother to talk to Xia Yingluo, and only told her assistant, have someone fire her with her influence on the crew. She wanted to fire someone with no identity or status. It was a breeze with the small crew and even the actors. Assistant Brother Chiang said with an apologetic smile, "Yes, yes." He turned around and shouted at Xiao Li, "Why don't you quickly find out who she is?" Xiao Li was also anxious and rushed to Xia Yingluo. "Whoever you are, get out of here," he shouted, "Security, security." The noise here alarmed the people nearby. Finally, a stage manager recognized her and said flatteringly to Tang Yuan and others, "I know her. She was brought in just now by Jin Ling who plays the role of the maid Lan Zi, that little role. She came to explore the Jinlinger class." Tang Yuan's face became even more ugly when she said this. "Why are all the idle people put in there?" Brother Chiang also scolded Xiao Li, "What did you do? Now any cat or dog can come in to visit the class. Whose name is Jin Ling? I've never heard of him. He didn't even get a coffee position. He's just learning from others. Do you want to have fun at home?" Several people around him laughed and looked at Xia Yingluo with disdain. Hearing him insult her friend, Xia Yingluo became even more angry. "Where's your director? Tell him to get over here." Brother Chiang sneered, "Director? You don't speak softly. The director of this film is the one you can see if you can. Go away." Besides, Tang Yuan stood a little impatiently. She was about to shoot the next scene. She wanted to sit down and rest, but she didn't want to waste time with Xia Yingluo like this. Another female assistant accompanying her noticed her impatience and said, "Sister Tang, there is a chair over there. Let's go sit there first." End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 1298. Chapter 1298. It turns out to be Miss Xia. Tang Yuan glanced at the female assistant coldly, which frightened the female assistant into silence immediately. "You can just call the director over," she ordered with a hint of reserve and coldness, "and ask him to open that gold thing. Since this stinky girl dares to steal her chair, then she will make it impossible for her friend to survive here." By now, Xia Yingluo was no longer angry, laughed, and sat steadily. Before the director arrived, Jin Ling was brought over first. The person who brought her over was the acting assistant director. He scolded her sternly, "Why don't you apologize to Sister Tang? Don't bring all that to the set. It's so uncultured. If a friend of Tang Yuan comes to visit the class, no one will care about her even if she dresses 1,000 times more ordinary than Xia Yingluo or acts 1,000 times more reckless than Xia Yingluo. This is the difference between a super celebrity and a newcomer who is transparent." Jin Ling listened to the scolding, but said stubbornly, "Yingluo is not rubbish. She and Xia Yingluo both protect each other very much." The assistant director laughed angrily, "Two idiots rubbish." No wonder he was angry. He originally planned to give this role to another girl he liked, but he didn't know how to find a golden ringer halfway through. It was the chief director Fang Wei who personally recruited him, saying that it was Du Shi's new recruit. "Actress, suitable for this role, give it a chance. Du Shi is the producer of this drama." The assistant director can't say anything, but he still hates Jin Ling in his heart. Xia Yingluo looked at him coldly, "What's your name?" "Are you qualified to ask our director Zhou's name?" Xiao Li said arrogantly. Xia Yingluo sneered and was too lazy to talk to them. She sat firmly on the chair and waited for the arrival of the chief director. The chief director quickly arrived at the scene and took a look at the situation. "What's going on?" "Brother Fang," Tang Yuan spoke slowly, and the bad guy complained first, "Young actors nowadays really don't understand the rules more and more. They bring all kinds of friends into the studio without saying anything, and they even sit in my chair. This kind of thing. What are you doing here? Let's go." Chief Director Fang Wei frowned secretly. He discovered that the people who displeased Tang Yuan were Jin Ling and the unknown girl. If it were any other young actor, he would definitely show off Tang Yuan's reputation, but Jin Linger was different. Du Zheng had personally greeted her. He still remembered Du Zheng's original words at that time, choose a suitable role for her. By the way, don't embarrass her too much. The first half of the sentence is already very strange. How could Mr. Du, who has so many things to do, care about a little newcomer actress? The second half of the sentence made an old man like Fang Wei keenly aware of something. With Mr. Du's taciturn and businesslike temperament, Jin Linger was the only one who could tell him don't be too embarrassed. Fang Wei quickly went to investigate Jin Linger's background, and found out what was even more strange. Isn't this girl just a trainee with average grades in the Emperor's training camp? How come Mr. Du took notice of her and personally issued a transfer order to transfer her to his home to make her debut in advance? When he investigated further, he was even more shocked. It turned out that it was not the girl Jin Linger who had a background, but that she had a very powerful friend, Xia Yingluo, the daughter of the Tianyi Li family. It is said that the girl who was favored by the whole family and treated her as a best friend. It is no wonder that Jin Linger was able to enter the Du family with such mediocre results. Understanding this, how could Fang Wei dare to embarrass Jin Linger? The role assigned to her is also good. Although she is a female lead, she has a lot of room for performance. If she hadn't offended Tang Yuan now, Fang Wei really felt that his arrangement this time was perfect. His expression was still changing, but Tang Yuan was already impatient. Brother Fang, why don't you speak? Fang Wei just woke up from a dream. He didn't look at Tang Yuan, but carefully looked at the girl who had been sitting on the heroine seat without any courtesy until now. Although the girl was wearing casual clothes, her features were very beautiful, and she naturally had a calm temperament surrounding her. She was not embarrassed by the presence of so many big names in front of her. How could she look like an ordinary girl from a small family? Fang Wei felt his eyelids twitching, and the ominous feeling in his heart became heavier. With luck, he asked the girl, "Excuse me, who is this?" The girl looked at him with a half-smile, "Are you Fang Wei?" Yes, Fang Wei was afraid that he would say a wrong word, so he was careful. Tang Yuan on the side was impatient, "Brother Fang, you just have a good temper. Why should you be polite to a little girl like this who doesn't understand the rules?" Fang Wei cursed in his heart, "Tang Yuan, if you want to die, don't drag me with you. I don't have a good temper, but this little girl in front of me is probably someone you and I can't afford to offend." Before Tang Yuan could continue to get angry, Fang Wei bit the bullet and asked, "Are you Miss Xia?" This time, it was Jin Linger who opened her eyes slightly. Director Fang is really good at this. Can he guess Yingluo's identity? She is usually bossy on the set, so no wonder she is so polite to Yingluo. I dare to know who she is. Xia Yingluo narrowed her eyes, "You are very smart." Fang Wei felt that cold sweat broke out all over his body. It was really that ancestor. It is said that Li Lei dotes on his wife and children. Just look at the domineering look of the second young master Li Rui. There are not many rumors about the little princess in front of you, but looking at her standing still, she may not be someone to mess with. Roll. I didn't know it was you who came. I'm so proud of you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Fang Wei smiled so brilliantly that he kept saying, "You're so serious. You didn't even say hello when you came to visit, so I could send someone. No, I'll pick you up in person." The staff and Tang Yuan on the side were stunned. Who is this Miss Xia? How could Director Fang be so polite? Xia Yingluo sat on the chair and swayed her calves. "You still want to pick me up? It would be great if you don't kick me out." As he spoke, his eyes swept over Tang Yuan and others. Tang Yuan's heart skipped a beat when she saw her, and she had an ominous premonition. Brother Fang, who is this, the actress, who is worthy of being a movie star, said, with a smile on her lips, and asked Fang Wei, "Please introduce it to us." Fang Wei glanced at Xia Yingluo and saw that she had no objection, then he cleared his throat and said, "This is Miss Xia Yingluo from Tianyi, the only daughter of Mr. Li Lei. Tang Yuan, why don't you come and meet Miss Xia soon?" Tang Yuan almost screamed, and many people around her turned pale with fright. They guessed from Fang Wei's attitude just now that this girl probably had a good background, but they didn't expect that she had such a terrifying background. Tianyi Li Lei's only daughter. Who among them doesn't know how much Big Boss Li protects his shortcomings and dotes on his family? I'm afraid this girl can send everyone present to heaven or with just one word. Why did she come here? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1299. Chapter 1299 Physical Problems. Everyone was in shock and confusion. Xiao Li and the others were extremely annoyed. Wouldn't they be retaliated against for insulting Xia Yingluo just like that? Tang Yuan reacted quickly. After a moment of stiffness, she smiled like a flower. She stretched out her hands to shake hands with Xia Yingluo. "Miss Xia, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was you. Sit down. Sit down. I was so excited just now, don't be offended." Xia Yingluo remained motionless, treating her like air. Tang Yuan took her hand back in embarrassment and told her assistant, "Qiangzi, why don't you go make Miss Xia a cup of tea? Just use the biluakan we brought with us, this year's special new tea, it's very good." Qiangzi responded and hurried away. Xia Yingluo then spoke, "Don't bother me. I'll take a look and leave. Director Fang, when will the filming of Ling Er scene be finished? I've taken a fancy to a piece of clothing material. I'm going to ask Ling Er for reference later. When things have reached this point, everyone is embarrassed to stay here. She just needs to support Jin Ling Er so that they don't provoke her in the future. She doesn't want to worry about other things." Director Fang said, "Ling Er only has a few scenes, so we'll shoot them here and there." He then said to Tang Yuan on the side, "Tang Yuan, move your play to the afternoon and rest first in the morning. Originally, the protagonist scenes come first. Small characters like Jin Ling Er had their makeup done early and were waiting nearby. Sometimes they were unlucky and waited for a whole day to film. But since Miss Xia said she wanted to go shopping, who dared to delay her? Naturally, Jin Ling Er scenes were filmed first, and even the best actress had to step aside." Tang Yuan was angry, but she clearly saw how much Xia Yingluo valued Jin Ling Er, so she didn't want to get into trouble. Immediately, Tang Yuan smiled and said, "Okay, I'll have a rest and drink tea with Miss Xia." Fang Wei took Jin Ling Er to start filming, leaving Xia Yingluo sitting leisurely on the chair. Over there, Tang Yuan's assistant Qiangzi made tea and brought it to Xia Yingluo respectfully. "Miss Xia, please drink tea." Xia Yingluo hated him for scolding her just now, without even raising her eyelids, treating him like nothing. Qiangzi's smile was a little stiff, and he stood there awkwardly, neither advancing nor retreating. Many people in the crew were looking over here, watching the fun. Who said that Qiangzi offended too many people just because he was Tang Yuan's assistant? Everyone wishes he was unlucky. Seeing Xia Yingluo letting him go, many people were gloating about his misfortune. Tang Yuan saw that her assistant was embarrassed and quickly called him over. She cut off the cup of tea and went up. "Miss Xia, drink tea." She is worthy of being a movie queen, with a natural smile, a gentle tone of voice, and a very down-to-earth attitude. Who is Xia Yingluo? The rich daughter who has been proud since she was a child was scolded like this for no reason today and was almost kicked out of the set. How could this debt be eliminated so easily? Moreover, is she so easy to flatter that she can flatter any cat or dog? She waved and called Xiao Li, who was standing aside. Xiao Li had just offended her. When he saw her calling, he quickly went over and nodded, "Miss Xia, what are your orders?" "I'm tired and want to be alone," Xia Yingluo said to him. "You help me guard and clear out all the random people who come to chat with me without knowing anything about them." Xiao Li's face suddenly turned green. How could there be any ignorant people here? There was only Tang Yuan, who was holding a teacup and trying to strike up a conversation with Xia Yingluo. From what Xia Yingluo meant, it was clear that she wanted him to drive Tang Yuan away. Xiao Li is about to cry. He can't afford to offend Xia Yingluo, and he can't afford to offend Tang Yuan either. "Miss Xia, this." He looked at Xia Yingluo in embarrassment. Xia Yingluo was a little impatient. "What, you don't want to do it? It doesn't matter, I'll call your director over again." It's okay, I'll do it right now," Xiao Li said repeatedly. If Director Fang is alarmed again, what good things can happen? Xia Yingluo gave him such a difficult problem just to retaliate against him for insulting her just now. If he implicated this difficult problem on Director Fang, wouldn't Director Fang skin him? He will still have to hang out on the crew in the future. He is Director Fang's team. What should he do if he is disliked by Director Fang? With Xia Yingluo and Director Fang on one side and Tang Yuan on the other, Xiao Li made a choice. "Sister Tang, I'm sorry," he smiled at Tang Yuan very politely, "I'll have someone take you there to rest. I'll buy you some fruit later." Seeing this attitude, Tang Yuan knew that she would be asking for trouble if she stayed any longer. She secretly hated Xia Yingluo for being so inhumane, but on the surface she smiled without losing her grace at all. "Okay." Turned around and left. Xia Yingluo's heart was filled with anger. After waiting for a while, Jin Linger finished filming, and the two left the set affectionately to go shopping. Jin Linger held Xia Yingluo's hand and said, "Yingluo, you are so majestic today. Do you know how arrogant Tang Yuan is usually? Look at her being so low-key now, ha ha ha, it's so satisfying even in this situation." Among A-list celebrities, Tang Yuan is considered difficult to serve. Many people in the crew have long complained, and Jin Linger is one of them, because if Tang Yuan is difficult to serve, they will suffer the same fate. Xia Yingluo caused a scene today, and Jin Linger just wanted to applaud. Xia Yingluo was a little worried. "Be careful, I'm afraid she will retaliate against you." She had already begun to regret it. She should not have shown off her temper just now and refused to let Tang Yuan step down. She was used to being the eldest lady at home, and she had learned to be very arrogant with her mother and second brother, two people who were afraid of chaos in the world and who would retaliate. "I forgot that there was Jin Linger who needed protection this time." Jin Linger said, "Don't worry, they all know that I am your friend now, who dares to embarrass me? Not even Tang Yuan." Hearing what she said, Xia Yingluo felt relieved a little and told her to tell her immediately if she encountered any bullying. Jin Linger comforted her a few more words, and then the two of them started shopping happily. After shopping, Jin Linger returned to the set and filmed as usual. A few days later, Xia Yingluo received news that she was ill and hospitalized. Hurrying to the hospital to visit the patient, I saw Jin Linger lying weakly on the hospital bed, with a sickly red face on her small face. She touched Jin Linger's forehead, it was hot, and said worriedly, "Linger, what's going on? How did it get like this?" Jin Linger forced a smile and said, "It's okay. There was just a scene where I jumped into the water. It was probably too cold. I caught a cold after I got ashore, and I developed pneumonia without paying attention after coughing a few times." She spoke with difficulty. Pant. Xia Yingluo held her hand distressedly, "It's so cold and the water is pouring out. It's really hard for you. It's really hard for the crew as well. How come they don't pay attention to the actors' logistical support and make you sick even though everything is fine?" Jin Linger smiled bitterly. Who is to blame for the physical problem? There will be another update tonight. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1300. Chapter 1300. What medicine? Actually, she had some suspicions in her heart, maybe it was not all about her physical condition. When filming that scene, the staff didn't reveal much. They only told her, the script was temporarily modified and a scene was added where you are in the room and all you have to do is scream in terror. Jin Linger responded, but to her surprise, they set a fire outside the room, and the whole room was in flames. She didn't know whether it was a filming effect or a real accident. She turned pale with fright and kept screaming for help. The flames were so close that she could feel the scorching temperature and choking breath. In just 10 seconds, countless thoughts flashed through her mind, and she even desperately wondered if she would die here. Until an actor rushed in to save her, cut the rope around her body and jumped out of the window with her to escape. She was on fire. She was frightened and scared. The actor jumped into the pond behind the house. The fire was extinguished. Fortunately, she was not burned. She just soaked in the cold water in late autumn for a long time and suffered another accident. I was frightened, and even though the staff brought a blanket in time, I still fell ill after landing. She angrily asked the director why he didn't tell her to set the fire. Director Fang was surprised. Why, they didn't tell you, he called the staff for a confrontation. The staff was a little scared, but still said, the fire was in effect on the set, and nothing will happen. I wanted to make the actors' reactions more realistic, and for the sake of better dramatic effect, so I didn't say anything. Looking at Jin Linger with an apologetic smile, I'm sorry, Linger, it's my fault. Jin Linger was so angry that she wanted to cry, so she scolded him angrily. The staff did a little squatting on the ground and brought her tea and water to apologize. She was wrapped in a blanket, shivering with cold and sitting in a corner of the set. She heard several actresses whispering, "Did you see that Golden Bell used to call Brother Zhao like a dog? Brother Zhao worked hard for the crew. What's the point of breaking my heart and having to show off to her? I just rely on myself being Xia Yingluo's friend and not taking anyone else seriously." That's right, she was just urging Zhang Tang, but she was the only one in the water? Look at Brother Wei, such a big star, and she was in the water at the same time, how can she be so delicate? Hearing her urging Zhang Tang, she was afraid that Zhao I was embarrassed and gave her my soup. The conversation between several people made Jin Linger feel like a fishbone stuck in his throat. The bowl of soup he held in his hand didn't matter whether he drank it or not. She was frightened, had a bad temper, was a bit harsh towards Brother Zhao, and was too cold, so she ordered the soup. Ginger soup can be regarded as the standard ingredient for every cast and crew when they go into the water. They usually have it on hand. How did she know that there was something wrong in the kitchen today and the pot hadn't been boiled yet? The bowl in his hand was found for him by the assistant of the big star Brother Wei with great difficulty. Brother Wei was obviously out of touch, so he gave it to her as a favor, but it was rumored that she was being arrogant and domineering. Jin Linger felt so wronged that she wanted to cry, and developed a high fever that night. She always felt that something was not right about this. Too many coincidences came together. It happened to be that the script was changed, the staff happened to hide the fire scene, and there happened to be no hot soup. If these coincidences hadn't come together, she might not have become so seriously ill. However, she did not want to tell Xia Yingluo these speculations. Now many people in the crew are jealous that she is Xia Yingluo's good friend. She doesn't want Xia Yingluo to stand up for her anymore. She wants to make a career in the entertainment industry on her own, rather than becoming a vassal of her good friend. She wants to be someone who stands side by side with Yingluo, only then can she be qualified to be her true friend. Jin Linger in turn comforted Xia Yingluo, "Don't worry, I'll be fine in a few days." Xia Yingluo is worried about another thing, "How many days will you be raised? What will the crew do? Progress waits for no one. Jin Linger's expression darkened. You can find a stuntman. When she was sent to the hospital, she heard an assistant director recommending stuntman to director Fang. After all, she only plays a small role, and it is impossible to delay the filming schedule for her. She cannot afford the money burned every day. Xia Yingluo was not very happy. After leaving the hospital, she called the chief director Fang Wei and asked him to move Jin Linger's role back. Fang Wei was very embarrassed and said with an apologetic smile, "Ms. Xia, it's not that I don't want to move. You see, there are several big names acting with Linger. Their schedules are tight, so we really can't move, otherwise, I'll ask for permission Mr. Du." A ball was kicked to Du Zheng. Xia Yingluo also owns an entertainment company, and she knows very well how much money these big shots will cost if the crew is delayed for one more day, so she said, "I'll go find Mr. Du." She figured out if she could use the money to help Jin Linger. If you pay it, brother Du Zheng will probably be accommodating, right? The phone rang. It was Wei Lingnan, asking her what she was doing. Xia Yingluo was not in the mood to quarrel with him, so she told Wei Lingnan about the trouble Jin Linger had encountered in a somewhat depressed tone. Wei Lingnan said, "It's so troublesome. A simple thing like cold, fever and pneumonia can be cured immediately by just using my medicine. Just wait, I'll bring the medicine over now." Xia Yingluo then remembered what her boyfriend did. He was a top biopharmaceutical company in the world, possessing the most advanced medicinal materials. She waited for a moment at the door of the hospital, and sure enough she saw a black sports car parked. A tall man in a white shirt walked out of the car gracefully, stood in front of her, lowered his head and smiled. "Yingluo." "Thank you," Xia Yingluo said. "Why are you being so polite? Between you and me," Wei Lingnan handed her the medicine in his hand, two thin white tablets in a small transparent bottle, which looked no different from ordinary medicine. "Take one tablet at noon and one tablet at night. Take a few pills and you'll feel completely better the next day." Xia Yingluo looked at the medicine and asked, "What kind of medicine is this? Does it have any side effects?" "You don't even know the name," Wei Lingnan smiled. "There are no side effects. I won't harm your friends." Xia Yingluo thought the same thing. If he wanted to harm Jin Linger, he could just ignore it when Jin Linger was almost killed by Pei Yan last time. Why bother? So I took the medicine, said thank you again, and turned to leave. Yingluo Wei Lingnan called her from behind. She turned back. "Is there anything else?" No. Wei Lingnan let her go. Watching her back go away, he had the illusion in a daze, as if he was so insignificant in her eyes that even a human friend could not compare in importance. His expression gradually darkened. Xia Yingluo gave the medicine to Jin Linger and told her that the medicine would help her get well soon and go back to filming. Jin Linger believed in Xia Yingluo and ate it without any doubt, but the result was counterproductive. The next day, her condition worsened and she fell into a coma on the bed, unconscious. Xia Yingluo called Wei Lingnan anxiously and angrily, "What on earth did you give her to eat? Why is she getting worse?" End of this chapter.